I'm Simona Cotoni, and you're watching Awaz News. Canada sending weapons, ammunition to Ukraine, banning imports of Russian crude oil. Russian ambassador calls Ottawa protests hostile. Canadian economy grew 4.6% in 2021. Why the political class needs Ukraine to end discussion about COVID. Canada urged to protect activists from cyber attacks by foreign powers. Local GTA transit users except TTC riders will no longer pay double fare to connect to GO Transit. Canada's PNP immigration results for February 2022. Maple Leafs hand Capital's sixth consecutive home loss. Putin stripped off black belt over Ukraine invasion. Ontario is reporting fewer than 1,000 hospitalization of people with COVID-19 for a third day in a row as the province lifts all remaining capacity limits in indoor settings and scrap its vaccine certificate system this Tuesday. Ford says the vaccine certificate system was always intended to be time limited and he is only now removing it due to the advice of Chief Medical Officer of Health, but people should still exercise caution because the pandemic isn't over. Venues that still had capacity limits in place, including sports arena, concert venues, theaters, nightclubs, and restaurants where there's dancing, can now scrap those restrictions. Canada has pledged to support Ukraine by supplying anti-tank weapons and anti-material ammunition following Russia's invasion of the country and says it will ban imports of Russian crude oil. It is unclear if the ban will also include refined products. In addition, the Trudeau government is moving to restrict Russian state-owned broadcaster RT from being shown to Canadian households, stating that it is important that Canadians and people around the world be faced with accurate information. According to Russian diplomats, protests outside the embassy in support of Ukraine are a cause for concern. Russia is claiming that demonstrators gathering outside their embassy in Ottawa and two other consulates are hostile and have called in Canada's ambassador to Moscow to lodge a formal protest. Tensions in Ukraine reached a boiling point recently, with Russia launching what has been called a full-scale invasion. Despite voting to support Putin at first, 3 members of the Communist Party, which is Russia's second largest political party, said they were misled about Putin's objectives. Statistics Canada said the largest contributor to economic growth last year was household spending and residential construction as new home construction, resales, and renovations increased at new record levels. Statistics Canada said Tuesday the economy grew 4.6% last year compared with a decline of 5.2% in 2020, the first year of COVID-19 pandemic. Growth in the first quarter came at an annualized rate of 6.7%. The agency also said in an early estimate that Canadian economy grew by 0.2% in January. The figures came a day before Bank of Canada's next scheduled interest rate announcement. The central bank is widely expected to raise its key policy rate on Wednesday. There's a reason why Putin and Ukraine evidently cured COVID. They no longer want us discussing COVID because the daily revelation about the safety of the shots will create a consequential question from public directed at elected officials. It's precisely for that reason we must not allow them to move on. COVID is not really over. In fact, it's raging through all the countries in East Asia that seemed to escape it until they engaged in mass vaccination and now are suffering from their worst waves. Recent reports about the vaccine potentially harming DNA repair and creating bone marrow suppressions, and revelations on Moderna having patented a gene sequence several years ago that is now believed to be the driving force behind SARS-CoV-2 spike more pathogenic. Perhaps this is why they would rather discuss enforcing a no-fly zone over Ukraine so they can distract the public from growing demands for a no-fly zone over our bodies. Ottawa is being urged to take a harder line as countries such as China and Iran increasingly turn to digital technologies to target activists and dissidents living outside their borders, including in Canada. The call for action is contained in a new report by internet watchdog Citizen Lab at University of Toronto, which also raises concerns about a lack of support for those targeted by such digital repression tactics. The Citizen Lab report is the latest to raise concerns about a proliferation of digital technology that has made it easier for foreign governments to crack down or otherwise target dissidents in Canada, many of whom arrived here as refugees and immigrants. With the exception of TTC riders, it will soon be free for GO Transit customers in many parts of GTA to connect to local transit as a part of new program announced by provincial government on Tuesday. The province says starting March 14, local transit will be free for customers connecting to and from GO Transit on several municipal transit systems with GO Transit co-fare agreements. The province also announced that Presto discount for youth and post-secondary students will increase to 40% off all the full adult fare, which amounts to almost double the current discount. Canada's provincial nominee programs, known as PNP, issued over 5,000 invitations to apply for provincial nominations in February. The PNP is an immigration program jointly administered by federal, provincial, and territorial governments. It offers Canadian provinces and territories the opportunity to create their own immigration streams to better meet their labor market needs and economic development objectives. By 2024, PNPs alone are expected to result in more than 93,000 immigrants per year being admitted as permanent residents. The Maple Leafs have won 3 in a row, though this was another one that won't go on the highlight reel. Coming off a 10-7 victory at Detroit, Toronto outscored some more shaky play by goaltender Peter Mrazek, who had plenty of adventures in net while allowing 3 goals on 33 shots. Washington defenseman Justin was out for the 3rd time in 4 games because of an upper body injury. Russian President Vladimir Putin has been stripped of his honorary black belt over his country's invasion of Ukraine. The decision came after the International Judo Federation said on Sunday it would suspend Putin's status as honorary president and ambassador in light of the ongoing war conflict in Ukraine. Thank you for watching Awaz News. Stay tuned for more updates.